So welcome traders, it's Chris Chartman here from the Freedom Traders. We're going to go over a typical high probability trade that we use in price action fractal trend analysis, which means you try to catch a larger time frame high or low using a smaller time frame entry. In this case, if you look at the lower part of the screen, I'm on the 4 hour. I'm going to switch to the daily. And we have Luna here. Luna's been a very strong runner in the last week. And it started consolidating just above 100 psychological. So there's an interesting short in there. I'm going to remove those fibs in a moment just to show that we've retraced to the .382. Now if we set a daily high or low here, it increases the likelihood that this could be a bull flag. So in case the crypto market stays relatively strong and Bitcoin does start a daily uptrend, then we have a high likelihood with this position to have continuation above 100. Now the point is, how do you enter for a daily high or low? Because obviously you don't know where it's going to happen. So in this case, we'll look at the hourly time frame first, which is in the left part of my screens. Now if you look at my screens, this is how I often like to view the markets. And if you are training yourself to understand fractals, so if you want to understand what the 5 minute is doing inside of the hourly, and train your brain and train yourself to constantly be able to switch between time frames, then it helps to have the 5 minute open. For a while, when I was training myself, I used to have 4 time frames open. You go up here in Trading View in the right hand corner, select layout, and you can go to the squares with 4. Now you can have 4 time frames open. Now why would you want that? Well, because inside, if we go from the lower right hand corner, we have the daily. Then over here I'm going to switch to the 4 hour. That's how I often have it, and sometimes I might use the hourly here. Then up here in the right hand corner, I'll usually have the 15 minute, and over here the 5 minute, which is already open. So now in fractals, we like to see what is the larger time frame trend. So you start in the right hand corner, and let's analyze Luna. We'll go out to the monthly. Well, the monthly looks very extended. We haven't had monthly consolidation since $1. Now it's up at 100. So that's 100x without monthly consolidation. What does monthly consolidation mean? Well, it means that we haven't set a high or low. That would look like, I'm going to remove some of these older levels. And this does make you think, oh, if I'd only bought and held. If we'd want to have a monthly high or low, the last monthly high or low is down here. We would have had to have a stronger pivot look like this. But because we haven't had it, we are still looking for monthly consolidation. And this very high volume candle here does look like it may have topped out at 100K, because this is a real volume climax candle. But this candle itself, it gives no reason for any reason to doubt the bullishness of this ticker, because if you want to see monthly consolidation, it would have to look something like this, and then maybe if it's a downtrend, it would look like this, right? So we haven't had that. What's probably going to follow is maybe a few inside bars. But if this turns out to be a bull flag, we could continue by mid-January into another leg up. So that's why you want to position yourself for it. In trading, you don't guess, and you don't create portfolios with 100 different cryptos in it. In trading, you look for the high probability setup, and you try to get into that setup with the lowest risk possible. So how do you do that? Well, here, if you look at the 4 hour chart in the left hand corner, we've had this very strong move to the downside after we broke 100 and failed to continue. And this is actually a distro pattern here. So then that was a very strong short trade. And now at a certain point, you know that the sellers will start closing their positions, and there'll be buyers that missed the move up, or some that sold their positions who want to re-enter or enter Luna at a lower level. So what they'll do is they'll look for prior interest, areas of interest. This was one area of interest. Now there's an area of interest. The next really strong area of interest would be down in the mid 70s, in this kind of block here. But because it was very bullish, you want to try and get that entry. And what I like to do is I use RSI, and if we can get 4 hour oversold, that gives a high. As you can see historically, 4 hour oversold usually gave a nice bounce. And in this case, we literally touched 4 hour oversold. So I took 2 trades. The first one was catching this as it initially hit 4 hour oversold, and I played that, and for a 2-day make a profit, and I kept a small runner and put a stop under there. But Bitcoin was acting funny, so I didn't keep as much of a runner as I would have if Bitcoin was looking very strong. That's when we get to talking to market correlations, which at this point we are not going to do. So I positioned myself to try again for another daily high or low. Now, what is the daily high or low? Well, when do we say the daily high or low has confirmed, or we say the daily high or low is set? Well, we want to have a 4 hour trend change back to the bulls, and we have this. You can see it here in these pivots. This is enough of a pivot for me to say that this was a new 4 hour level to use. In this case, it's I don't really call it a lower high, but yeah, let's call this a double top high. And then as it was pulling back, that's when I started adding to my position that I had from down here. I added some because I was looking for a 4 hour high or low, because of the size of the retracement made it more likely that we will set a 4 hour high or low, which means I can get in with a lower risk and potentially have caught and added to my position for the daily high or low. In this case, as you can see, it worked out. So what was happening on the smaller time frames as I was re-entering this trade, if you go to the right hand, I had a position from here. Yeah, that was my first bounce attempt. I was here. I got stopped out, but I saw that there wasn't a lot of follow through. So as soon as I saw that there wasn't a lot of follow through, I bought in here. I sold a little bit, which put my average almost at the low, but the size wasn't enough. So as I saw that we had so much retracement after no follow through to the bears, the likelihood increased that I should add size in here. So I was only risking some of the profits that I'd made in this trade. So I added into this move looking for a 4 hour high or low. And on the 15 minute, what happened, we had a double bottom on the 15 minute. You see this? So that's why you want to have a smaller time frame, and you're looking at this in a double bottom. That's bullish. You can literally add right here and put a stop under here with very little risk and potentially catch the daily high or low. So that's what fractal traders do. We use the smaller time frame to get an entry for a larger time frame, which gives us a much better risk to reward than if we just like bought into the range somewhere and hoped that we caught the daily high or low. Because here I bought some, I sold some here, I kept it. Now I've sold some more here. Now my average is around 78 for the remainder of my position. Now I could, if I was trading around the position, add back some on the back test of this range. But in this case, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to let this play out. So that's the 15-minute time frame. And at the same time while that was happening, I would have had the 5-minute open. And that's what I was showing you in the left-hand upper corner of the screen now. This is that clear double bottom. So that would have been a beautiful entry to add to your position or to potentially catch the 4 hour high or low. Now, if I put the hourly up down here, which I often do, I use the bottom corner to look at the hourly. We were looking, because there's no pivots, for an hourly high or low here. which in the end also turned out to be the 4-hour high or low. Sometimes these pivots are enough to mark both the daily and the 4-hour, or both the hourly and the 4-hour high or low. In this case, that happened because this hourly is more defined by the intensity of the retracement and not very clear pivots that would mark a downtrend. This was an hourly uptrend. The uptrend was lost here, but without a lot of follow through. We literally triple bottomed on the hourly and then took off. And I also like to look for volume, which just had to change my indicators here. You like to see volume. The bear volume on this retracement was not significant, so that would also increase the likelihood of this becoming the 4-hour high or low. And now it has. Why can we say it has? Well, because it's changed the 4-hour trend back to the bulls with a low, a low, a low. Yeah, we had a pivot here, a low, then almost a higher high. You could call this a double top. And then, because of the size of this retracement, we looked to the probability of a 4-hour high or low happening, and now it actually, instead of going sideways, which it would after a 50% retracement, it continued bullish, which is a more bullish sign, and that's also why I want to remain in this position in case Bitcoin holds. So to look back, if you want to look at a ticker, you zoom out from the monthly, then you look at the weekly. This was the last weekly high or low, was down at 52, and now we're essentially trading on this little fake out. I won't count that as a weekly inside bar, which means it's inside the range of the prior bar. This little fake out, I'm not going to count that. So potentially this could still become a flag and continue if the 382 entry on the daily high or low confirms. That's why I want to keep a small runner on this position for a swing trade to potentially get that bull flag continuation. So recap. Price action fractal traders think in largest to smallest time frames and what's happening within the bigger picture on the smaller time frame. So here we have the weekly, what's happening inside the weekly, where we look at the daily. So here now we can see that the daily is looking for a higher low versus 51, which coincides with the weekly high or low that I've just shown before. And so forth. So trying to catch the daily high or low might need 2 or 3 attempts. And if you can get those attempts with actually turning a profit, that shows you're already a pretty proficient trader and have understood fractal methodology. And you will continually be able to have an edge by trying to find these higher lows. Now, this could also be an hourly time frame, and you could see the loss of the 5-minute uptrend. And this could be the 5-minute, this could be the hourly, and you could try to catch the hourly high or low once the 5-minute uptrend is lost. And I'm going to keep repeating these topics, keep repeating the higher lows, the lower highs, the equilibriums, the fractals, the smaller thing within the bigger thing, the Russian doll that you take apart, and there's always a smaller doll inside it, and even down to the minute time frame, and occasionally I will use the 15-second for entries, which is more advanced and which you don't necessarily need to learn right in the beginning, because in the beginning, if you can start understanding that once the 4-hour uptrend is lost, then we're only looking for a daily high or low. And once the 4-hour trend, as in here, sets a new trend change by setting a high, a higher low, and a higher high, which is a trend change, then we can say the daily high or low is set. And if you manage to catch it down here because you were prepared, looking at the daily, you were prepared that there is the likelihood and the need for a daily high or low to form, then you have essentially set yourself up for an almost risk-free trade with a lot of upside. And if this confirms to be a weekly bull flat, then even more upside than 100. So, hope you enjoyed this lesson on Luna, catching the daily high or low. And please post me your questions down in the comments. Please like and subscribe to help my channel, and send me a DM if you have any personal questions. Thank you. Bye bye.